We're on to our Advent lace ornaments, and we're looking at page 85 for our instructions. This is really easy, so don't be intimidated by these lace ornaments. The first thing we're going to see is that we need the wash away stabilizer. I am using the plastic looking kind. The other kind, it has a mesh behind it. Doesn't matter which one you use. Use whatever you're you have or you're comfortable with. Excuse me. It says to hoop 2 layers of the stabilizer together. And it's going to give you some tips right here. To do the 2 layers, choose a hoop size that's close to the size of the design. Make sure both layers are taut. Use a 7511 embroidery needle, not universal needle. Match the bobbin and the top thread because the thread will be visible on both sides. I guess that's the most important thing to do when you're doing freestanding lace, is to keep your bobbin and top thread the same thread and the same color so that it looks the same on both sides. Cut the bobbin thread between each color stop if your machine doesn't already do that. Do not combine color stops. Some of our machines will do that. Then we don't have to change thread so often. But in freestanding lace, it's important that we follow the order that they have it in, because lace is built one upon the other. Threads are built up, which is what holds it all together. Because when we get through with this lace, we're going to run it under water, and all of this extra stabilizer is just going to disappear, and all we'll have is the thread. So we need all those layers to be stitched together so it kind of forms a fabric for us. Slow the machine speed down, and do not resize your lace designs on your embroidery. So the first, I have hooked in my 5x7 hoop. I've hooked my 2 layers of wash away stabilizer, and we have a neutral thread in. I'm going to put in I've got my white in there, so what I've done is taken out my embroidery bobbin, which is the thinner bobbin, and put in my bobbin that is the white 40 weight wound onto it, so it's the same as the top. We'll look at where we're loading the embroidery file in a second. We're going to choose a neutral thread color on this. So I'm going to keep the white in there. You choose, whatever color you want to on that part. Then when we move up here, it's going to tell us which color to use. There's the pink, the light teal, the dark teal, then pink again, then the light teal, pink, dark teal, and white. And then when we get down to here, we're going to be using our dark blue and our white on all our different steps. And we'll go through that as we go stitch this out. But what the little bobbin means by here is to match your bobbin to this thread color. So you'll be changing bobbin and thread color each time, which is a lot of hassle, but freestanding lace is so pretty. So let's go over to our machine. I have my embroidery files pulled up, and I'm looking under Advent embellishments. I'm going to find mine here, and that's going to pull up the 3 little ornaments. We're going to set it, and now I know it's in the center of my hoop because I didn't do anything to change anything. So I'm going to click embroidery, and now I'm going to put my hoop on my machine. And the first thing we're going to see it come up is this little grid design up there. And let's see. Stella told you to use a neutral thread. And I'm not sure why it says that. Because the first thing we're going to stitch out is going to be our pink. So I guess I need to switch to my pink instead of that. Not sure why it said to do that. But let me switch out my thread and I'll be right back. I wanted to show you that I've gone ahead and wound my bobbins for my thread colors. Got my thread colors that I'm going to be using. I have my pink in the machine. The first thing we're going to do is this little circle that goes underneath the bottom layer of this ornament right here. So let's see. It says it only takes a minute, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, the next thing it's going to tell us to do is to stitch, we're going to stitch the little lines that go across on that circular ornament. We're going to have to change out to our tan thread and bobbin. So each time we're going to do this, continue on with each step as it comes up, switching your thread each time. Like it said, remember to cut your bobbin thread if your machine doesn't do it automatically. And I will come back when we get through with this ornament. I don't think we need to show you how it stitches. The reason you put 2 layers on is because you can see there's going to be a lot of stitches in these ornaments. So I'll be back when I get this ornament finished. Okay, I finished doing my first ornament, and as you can see, let me get it to where maybe you can see better. There you go. That's the front side. And that's the back side. There's a little bit of difference because of the way the stitches are formed, but you won't really notice it that much. And you'll come in and trim off all of these little hairy pieces, the little extras sticking out where my thread cutter cut it. You'll trim those off before you soak the stabilizer out of your thing. I know changing the threads is a little aggravating, and if you have a 6 needle, you probably can do this on a 6 needle, or a multi-needle, whatever you have. But it's really pretty and it's really cute. So we're going to move on to doing our other 2. We're going to follow the same order. We're just going to change our threads and bobbins every time it tells us to, and we'll be through with this in no time. I'll see you back when I get finished with these. So we have finished our freestanding lace ornaments. Aren't they adorable? That's the front, and that's the back. And I've gone ahead and trimmed up all the little, as many as I can get to right here, the little thread tails on the back. Don't be afraid to cut those off. There are knots in that. It's not going to come out. It's not going to go anywhere. So the next thing we're going to do is to take them out of the hoop. If I can do this one-handed. Go. And we're going to trim around the outside edge. It says about 1/8 of an inch. We want as much of this little, be careful you don't cut the stitches, but we want to do about 1/8 of an inch around all of this. Don't worry about getting this in here. This will dissolve away. But cut them all out, and then we will put them in water, and you'll see the magic of that disappearing, and then you'll lay them flat to dry. And it'll take overnight to dry. So let me get mine cut out, and we will be ready, and I'll take you to see how it dissolves. Be right back. Okay, I have a bowl of cool water. I have trimmed up my, trying to get it to where you can see it, trimmed all the excess away from it. And all we're going to do is put it in there and let it sit. And of course you want them to soak. Sit for a few minutes. You can also put them under running water. And they're a little bit slimy from the stuff dissolving. But I don't know if you can see, it's starting to come off. You might can see on the camera. But I'm going to let them sit in there for just a little bit. And then I'm going to put them on a towel. Good thick terry cloth towel. Blot them dry good and just let them lay flat there overnight. You might want to turn them over as they're drying so they don't curl on you. But that's all there is to making freestanding lace. So now you have another technique under your belt. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is our dimensional tags, and let me get that set up and we'll be right back. Alright, we're ready to go on our dimensional tags, and we're going to make 3 of them at one time. We're on page 68 in our book. We need our 2 pieces of fabric with our fusible backing ironed onto those. And then we need to have our piece of flexi foam, a 5x5 piece of flexi foam. We're going to use our wash away stabilizer like we just used in our freestanding lace. I've hooked it. I've only hooked one piece this time. We've got the stabilizer hooked. We're going to load our embroidery file into the machine. It's under embellishments, and it will be this first one, the 4x4. I'm going to be using a 5x7 embroidery frame, and we'll be using the white thread, and then we'll use our red for the outside and the numbers. So I have changed my thread in my bobbin back to my just embroidery thread. We're not worried about colors on this one. I have my white thread up here I've done. So let's stick our stabilizer, our hook in, and stitch down our little circles for our placement lines. Oh, come on. Oh, my thread came unthreaded. That's the problem. lift my needle. Oops. Now let's back up about 10 stitches. A little bit more. Okay, we'll go +1. It went too far back. Now there we go. We're at the beginning of it. I'll come right back and see what's making my thread come unthreaded. So hang on. Okay, problem resolved. When things like that start happening, your needle keeps kind of coming unthreaded, just take off your thread and rethread, and I had to do that several times. But it seems to be working now, so we're going to get on with our project. So the next thing, we have done our placement lines for our flexi foam. So we're just going to put this in. We're going to stitch around this flexi foam, and then we're going to trim around the foam like we have done with the batting. So I will come back when that's done and I'll show you the trimming. We won't cut the backing, we're just going to trim around the edge of that, the foam. So I'll be right back. Alright, I have trimmed around my foam here. Kind of poofy. And just trim as best you can because both sides are going to be covered. So the next thing we do is put our fabric on. And if you feel the need to I think I will put a piece of tape down, excuse me, to hold that in place. I'm learning some new skills myself. How to do things one-handed. Okay, then let's stitch our tack down line here, and then we're going to do then we'll stitch out the outside edge and I think we do the numbers next. So I'll be right back. Now I've done the tack down on these, and it says do not trim after you've done the tack down because we want to finish out the final satin stitch on the edge before we do any trimming. And this is just sewing this down, and then we will do our numbers on the inside. Okay, we've stitched our numbers down. Now we're going to go over here to number 6, and it says stitch the tack down line. I think I've already done, but and then we turn it over, the hook over on the back of the hook, and we're going to trim the fabric close to the stitch line. We're going to tape our extra piece on the back of our fabric. Back here with our right side facing up. Get my tape. Okay, now we do our tack down line. I was a little bit ahead of myself there. So we're going to put it back on the machine, and we're going to stitch our tack down line again. Okay, now we're going to have to put change our bobbin to a red bobbin so that it will match our top, so that we'll have the same thing on the top and bottom. I'm going to take this and I'm going to trim from the top side. I'm going to trim all the way around these close like we've done before, and then I'm going to turn over on the back side and I'm going to trim all the way around it, and I'm going to go ahead and trim off all these little tags, tails. So we'll trim around it, and then we'll do our final satin stitch for it. So let me get that done and I'll be right back. Okay, I've trimmed both the front and the back. There's the front, there's the back. Now we're going to do the satin stitch, and I think that's the final stitch before we trim it out, take it out of the hook. So let's I forgot to say, I went ahead and changed my bobbin thread to a red thread. Okay, when this finishes, then I'll come back and show you what our final product looks like. Okay, we're finished embroidering. I do need to kind of trim up some of the little tails sticking out. And that's what the front looks like, and the back looks like this. And what we do to these is when we get to the 4th month, 15th month, well, we'll go ahead and tack those on to the blocks that they belong on. I think you hand tack them with a needle and thread on these. So the next thing we do is, again, trim as close to our stitching, but not cutting into our stitching. Then we're just going to wet our finger or Q-tip, and we're going to run around the edge until we dissolve the rest of this wash away water soluble stabilizer until it's all gone. So that I'll do in just a bit. We're going to move on to the last thing that we're going to do, and that is our filler block. And on this section 3, our filler block, there's only one filler block. We have done the Y. We already had a snowflake and a present done. We did the star design, and then we're going to do our filler block for this is our fabric here, and it's a 6x6 design. So we're going to, I have hooked my bigger hook because since we're doing the background quilting, it's not gonna come out just right. I've got to change my bobbin back to my embroidery thread. And come on. There we go. And I want to put my white thread back on my machine. Not the red. Sorry. There's so many things to do. Maybe I should do this and then come back to it. So I will thread my machine. I'm going to put my hook in here. I'm going to come back and delete what I've done here. I'm going to pull up my background quilting, and I believe this is the lines. Yes, it is the lines. Let me find where the lines are. Cup winner lines right here. Embroidery files, PES. And we're looking for the 6x6 design. Just so 6x6 vertical design. So I'm assuming that's this one. We're going to set it. And we'll have to change the size of our Alright. Because we have our bigger thread thing in there. Now I'm going to do my tack down line, put down my batting. I'm going to lay my piece of fabric on top of the batting, do my embroidery design, and I'll come back when I get all that done. And we will wrap this up for section 3. See you in a minute. Alright, so here we are, end of section 3. We have done our dimensional tags for our days, our little snowman, isn't he cute, and our holly leaf that will go on one of our blocks. So these are the ones that we have for this month. Like I said, we've already done this one and this one and this one. So all we had to do this time was these 2 blocks. So I'm just gonna talk about how we do it. We've sewn them together before. If you need a refresher, let me know and I'll do that. But we're gonna sew these 3 blocks together, and I'm pressing my seams open because it's so thick. Then we're going to sew these 2 blocks together, and then we're going to sew the 2 halves together. And this is section 3 will be sewn at the bottom of section 2 so that the Y completes the word Mary. And that will be the length of your quilt, because the other sections will go on the right hand side of the quilt. So see you next time on the videos for section 4. See you later.